Super Rugby semi-final number 2, folks. 19 points to 6. That's how a semi-final's supposed to be, Blues. It's supposed to be a close game. An arm wrestle. Sure enough, it's beyond a score at the end, but the try comes in the 78th minute. Up until that point, it was still really anyone's game. Like one try, either way, converted, would have got it done. But yes, a semi-final worthy of the occasion. We'll go through some key events and stats. You guys can let us know your thoughts. But ultimately, it's a Chiefs Crusaders final for next week. Who have you got? Crusaders blew the Blues out of the park, and the Chiefs have had 2 real arm wrestle games. So who is better prepared for a final? We'll have to wait and see. But for this game, the Brumbies came to town. A few empty seats, which was a bit kind of crazy. I guess people may be expecting that they'll save their money for the final next week. I mean, it was largely pretty full, but there were certainly a few empty seats. But it was the Brumbies early, man, like 10 phases before the Chiefs' defence kind of held. And Stevenson was able to put kind of a big boot to kind of clear that one away. And then the Chiefs, when they had their first chance, similar to last week against the Reds, when they get a penalty opportunity, D-Mac slots it, so it's 3 points to 0. Debrasini had a chance to even things up a few minutes later, but his one, sadly for the Brumbies, was just pushed ever so wide. He didn't actually last that long, Debrasini. He would have gone off, I think, just before the half an hour mark. He had a bit of a head knock and didn't come back on, so it was Lolosio who ended up playing more than half of the game for the Brumbies at 10. But I mean, the start of the game was just an arm wrestle. It's just what it's supposed to be from a semi-final. 2 of the better teams in the competition. Neither is really able to get on top. There are really few knock-ons, despite the rain that was piddling down. There weren't really many like penalties conceded. It was just a real arm wrestle of a game. The breakdown was just brutal the whole game. The Chiefs' defence had to hold many phases of their own 22 at one point, and then they respond by almost kicking a 50-22. ALB went really close. But yeah, there was just like no real individual kind of meltdown or magic moments. It was just 2 very evenly matched teams going on, and it was great to watch. Very good rugby, despite the scoreboard not ticking over. The Chiefs did make it 6-0 not long after Debrasini's head knock, though, and then Brodie, Retallick, and Nick White had a wee bit of push and shove. It's a mismatch if ever you've seen one in terms of just the stature of the guys, but good to see. It means something to both of them, I guess. Slipper also had to go off with a knock to his head on 33 minutes. The Brumbies opted for a 3-point for the high tackle on him, so 6-3, although Slipper did come back on. Chiefs' best chance of that first half is probably when Stevenson was into a gap down the left wing and then almost set up Narawa, but knocked on. That was the best chance for the backs. And then the forwards, from the resulting scrum, win a penalty on the Brumbies feed for the Chiefs. It was an unbelievable scrum. So the best chance for the forwards comes when they get held up. They had advantage. They go back again. The Chiefs get held up a second time. They go back for the advantage. They get tapped. They tap it and they get held up a third time, which is insane in itself. And then Tom Wright's, sure it was Tom Wright, his clearance, he just kicks it straight to Narawa. It's bonkers, like not quite straight to him. And Narawa has to pick it up off the ground, but it was a strange kick for a semi-final, so it let the Chiefs have one more crack at it. They high-tackled Narawa, so it's another advantage. Knock on back for the advantage. Yellow card warning for the Brumbies. Chiefs scrum, Jacobson peels off the back, goes for the line, but knocks it on. So, yeah, it's still a very, very tight one at halftime. The Chiefs probably should have scored, but Brumbies, similar to last week, man, just showing some pretty ferocious defence just to hold them up and hold them up and hold them up and force the knock on. But yeah, possession's pretty much dead even, 49-51 at halftime, but the Chiefs have had more territory, 57-43, I think, especially towards the end of the first half. Knock-ons is 8-4, and clean breaks is only 1 zip. That's how tight the game was. There was no space for the likes of a Tom Wright or a Narawa or a Stevenson, all these guys, to get into those real kind of open spaces. It just wasn't there. It wasn't that kind of game, which is a good thing. Like compared to bloody last night, man, where it was just open season on the Blues. I say that as a Blues fan. Some people may have enjoyed that game more. Second half, Chiefs bunch of pressure. Breakdown continues to be intense. D-Mac with a penalty chance on 52 minutes to convert on the pressure. Makes it 9-3. And to be fair, the Brumbies in the preceding phases where they gave away that penalty should have been able to exit. It was their ball, but they ended up conceding a penalty. So they kind of are the masters of their own demise with that one. Kane's putting in some big hits, both tackle-wise and clearing out, but he looks pretty sore at one point, so fingers crossed he's all right for next week, the final. The Brumbies did get 3 points back on like 57 minutes to make it 9-6, so it's a real tight one, man. We're talking one penalty from being back to even Stevens, although it wouldn't get that way. Brumbies conceded a penalty on 58 minutes at the breakdown. Interestingly, that was one with a kind of tough angle where the Chiefs opt for touch. You're wondering, is anyone going to get a try? Can they get a try? No, the Brumbies defence holds. And then when it was the Brumbies' turn, a few minutes later, pretty much did the same thing. They had a kick. Again, it's wide. They're just on the Chiefs' kind of 22-metre line. The Brumbies are like, nah, we're going to go for touch. And one of their few chances to kind of set an attacking maul. It basically just shifts sideways before it goes to ground. The turf's pretty wet with the, with all the rain. Like a couple of the Chiefs guys fell over. It looked like the Brumbies might be able to get some steam up, but they brought it down themselves was the way the ref ruled it. So, the maul was essentially stopped, and Chiefs defence is able to get them out of jail. So, neither side really able to kind of land that knockout punch. D-Mac, though, hits a 51-metre penalty on 71 minutes. That is a beauty. So 12-6. It's looking like a kind of a long shot for the Brumbies at that point, especially when Lolosio kicks it out on the full. Was it right that threw a forward pass out to the wing? Like a couple of key kind of pressure moments for the Brumbies guys, and they just mucked them up. That's what pressure can make players do in terms of causing errors. And then the Chiefs put the final nail in the coffin on 78 minutes through big Brodie. They had advantage. I mean, shooter Stevenson had gone with a big line break. D-Mac had a good run, and then a couple of phases later, Ratima just gets at the Brodie, who's able to power over. So 19 points to 6. There's no coming back from there. That is the game. The Chiefs, once again, they were tested, but they still come out on top. They finished with 54% possession, 57% territory, 3 clean breaks to 1. So really tight game, but the Chiefs tackle at 94%, which is phenomenal. Like, that's really test match level stuff. The Brumbies are at 83, which is okay, but not great. Nothing to write home about. D-Mac, 132 metres, a clean break, 7 defenders beaten, plus his points from the boot, including that 50-odd metre jobby. Stevenson, 96 metres, a clean break, 2 defenders beaten. So between the two of those guys, that's your 3 clean breaks from the Chiefs. Jacobson, 14 from 14 tackles. I think Kane also had 14. Taukei'aho had 15 out of 17, so some big defensive shift from the Chiefs forwards. Ikita was kept pretty quiet. He's one of the guys that's been their key weapons this season for the Brumbies. But Valtini, 39 metres, 3 defenders beaten. Lockie Lonergan, 18 from 18 tackles. But folks, well done, Chiefs. You host the Crusaders in an all-New Zealand final. To be honest, man, looking back at this competition, even a month or more ago, Crusaders Chiefs has been the final that looked most likely. They've looked the 2 best teams in the competition. I think it's fitting that those are the teams that play in the final. I mean, it would have been great to have an Aussie team in the final. From a Blues point of view, it would have been nice to see some of those All Blacks, put up their hands. But nah, man, it's been about the Chiefs this season. And it's been about the Crusaders, especially the tail end of the season. The Crusaders are really hitting their straps. So, playoff rugby, who you backing? The Chiefs at home or the Crusaders with their incredible playoff record under Razor? That's it. Well done, Chiefs. Commiserations, Brumbies. But certainly did a better job than my boys did yesterday. 19-6. You guys let us know your thoughts. And I'll talk to you guys again soon. Ta-ra.